Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to give some people a few more moments to arrive. I know I had to push it back 15 minutes because I was having some technical difficulties. However, I wanted to go live, not necessarily so much on the Carlee Russell situation, but more so showing how the Black community um, lives in hypocrisy, particularly when it comes to Black men and Black women. And we've seen this unfold not just with this situation involving Carlee Russell. We've seen it previously with the Chef Way situation, in which the Black community did not collectively condemn him. And we saw it with the Tory Lanez and Meg the Stallion situation, in which the community had difficulties condemning them as well. I'm going to allow more people to come in and then I'm going to start. I do want to thank you guys for patiently waiting on me and tuning in. And I'm going to give it one more minute and then I'm going to begin. I hope everyone is doing well and that despite the controversy surrounding, Black women, that, you guys are staying afloat and doing well in your personal lives and never allowing the issues that we face to get us down too far. So I'm going to give it one more minute, allow more people to come in, and then just bring to you guys what I've been seeing on these social media streets. And while I'm waiting, I'm just add this banner and subscribe and share. Please like, subscribe, and share. Save. And now we're going to show. All right. All right. So here's what I've been seeing and where I'll start this off. I did a PSA to my followers about a week ago. And we know it was saying, hey, this person, Carlee Russell, is missing. Here are the details. Now I shared that information. I joined groups on YouTube, on Facebook, and definitely did what I could to try to bring as much social media attention to the Carlee Russell situation. Now, as time passed, we were happy she was found. And then that's when the details surrounding what allegedly happened began to come out. And then, as we all know, a couple of days ago, they did the press conference basically saying that we can't confirm any details in her story and that more than likely this was a hoax. Now, just like many of you, I was disappointed. I was upset. I was angry. I had my emotions because not only do I do this work on a daily, Black femicide, sharing stories, donating to GoFundMe's, and donating in other ways, it just shows that no matter how much you try to do for Black women, there are always going to be a few in which you will wish that you never heard of their stories. And for me, Carlee Russell is one of those examples. Now, I didn't rush to put out anything, or nor did I want to, because I know my community. I know the Black community. I know that there will be a fair share, the collective of the community, that will include majority Black men, but also a lot of Black women who will come out and say, she needs to go to jail. She needs to be held accountable. Remember, the accountability within our community is always placed on Black women. I didn't feel the need to do that. I still don't feel the need to do that, just because I know that the other members of my community will do their fair share of that. Now, since this situation has unfolded, the groups that I was in on Facebook have gone from Find Carlee Russell to now we're going to constantly make memes that are making fun of her and going about her business and putting her out there. This group, when I initially joined, had 5,000. After the information surrounding her more than likely making this a hoax, this group has grown substantially. When I tell you that the makeup of this group is predominantly white and all of them sharing memes and talking about her heavily, I'm not kidding you. This person right here just uploaded, she gave details about the situation currently. And more than likely, this is true. This person said, quick update on the Carlee Russell case. If you haven't heard yet, her parents are claiming they received death threats and want the police to not be involved. All of the Russell's phones have been confiscated by the police via warrant. Carlee's ex-boyfriend have filed a restraining order against her in the family. While she was missing, her ex received a text stating, hope you enjoying finding Carlee body on the side of the road. The hotel the hotel she was in was reserved 4 days prior with a prepaid card under the name of Chantel Bronx. Carlee ordered food to the hotel under that name. The same IP address she ordered food from was the same IP address that sent the message to her ex. An arrest warrant will follow if Carlee don't undergo a 72-hour psych evaluation, which she disagrees. Well, that's all. Immediately, like, who is this person to her that knows all of that information? And I can't act as if people weren't sharing details regarding this being a hoax before it unfolded. But there are clearly people who know a lot more than the general public, because I've been following this story and I didn't hear all of that. But it seems like these people are in, they are like literally involved, like they must live in Alabama and know someone close to them. And then you have the constant sharing of the memes on here. Publix downtown is selling Carlee Cheez-Its. They're good, so good no one will believe you. You then have people sharing photos constantly. You have them sharing videos. This one right here went well in depth about how she'll never be able to get a job in nursing. It says RN here. I've seen a lot of people expressing concern about her becoming a nurse. Let me assure you that there is no way in blank she will ever become a nurse. Nursing is consistently voted as the most trusted profession, and for good reason. Nursing schools are extremely competitive to get into, and they have very high standards. Even if she was excelling in school, she would absolutely be booted from the program after this stunt. You must graduate from an accredited school of nursing to even be eligible to sit for the boards, and she won't have that. The amount of background checks that nurses go through is insanely thorough, and any potential school or employer would find out about her. No professional nurse that I've ever known would ever allow someone of her ilk to assume care of a patient, even in a non professional capacity. Nurses are very protective of their patients and are excellent advocates. Just wanted to chime in and ally some tears. You won't see this lying fool with any such credentials ever. We RNs don't claim her. Now, obviously, when you click on this person, you see a white person, right? So now they done got her surrounded. They making sure she can't get a job, that she won't be able to walk in public. They're actually giving you details of what they plan to do. And this is how typically white people work, right? I can't even be mad at them, because ultimately her reasoning for even doing this allegedly was to get her boyfriend back. But with all of that said, why is it that the community, the black community, can come together to rally against black women, but we cannot do that for black men, right? Look at the YNW Melly case. This individual was being prosecuted for essentially killing two people, right? I'm going to show you those videos, but before I do, I want you to see what this lawyer had to say. A lawyer down in Alabama had to say about this Carlee Russell case. This guy went as far as to say, I don't even know why she hasn't been charged yet. To me, she's been getting away scot-free. She's committed several crimes. And when I show you this, I want you to notice what they're saying. The comments are saying on the side.
With an interesting perspective tonight on just about everything that we know so far.
Yeah, so many shocking details came out of that press conference yesterday. It was a lot to process, but we know police are still investigating this case. They did tell us yesterday they really couldn't corroborate any of the details Carlee Russell had given them. We spoke to a Birmingham attorney today to get his take on it.
That's what I think happened.
Eric Guster spent years as a criminal defense attorney. He says, like the rest of the country, he was pulled into the Carlee Russell case. He says while police didn't come out and say it at the press conference, the message was clear.
She said she was kidnapped and the kidnapping didn't happen. Our citizens are safe. There's not a kidnapper out there. So they use every almost synonym for lie except saying she lied.
He says the search for Carlee wasted the time and money of law enforcement and concerned community members. The father of murder victim Anaya Blanchard wrote about it on his Facebook page, saying his wounds had been reopened and it wasn't okay to bring his family into the search.
Imagine going and searching for someone and they're all doing something else and they're never in danger. And you're thinking about saving this person's daughter and yours was not saved. Beyond angry, super livid, that would be me.
For the last week, it was a week ago she vanished on.
Okay, now we saw the comments. Most of the comments were saying, hey, as she should, she committed a crime. They called her Jussie Smollett. They've been calling her Carlee Smollett. They've been condemning her. They've been saying, hey, she should be held accountable. Nobody is coming out to condemn her as much as the Black community. And even in that comment section, if I continue to scroll down, it became more and more women, but there were also Black men saying, hey, she should be condemned. Hey, she should be held accountable. But if you go over to now the YNW Melly case and you look at what people are saying, you'll see that there is a clear difference amongst what the community is saying about Black women versus Black men. They're saying hold her accountable, lock her up as she should be. Meanwhile, this individual was being charged with killing 2 people. And where's our energy for that situation? Right? We should be more focused on his situation of him killing 2 people than we should her. But let's go over to what this video shows and look at these comments.
You're still unable to reach a unanimous decision. So at this time, what I'm going to do is just declare mistrial, the case was mistried, and indicate to you that how much we appreciate the fact that you were here and willing to serve. One thing I try to tell jurors at the beginning of the trial process, all through board diet, is how much we appreciate the fact that they're here and willing to serve. Our system doesn't work without getting people from the community to come in here and listen to the facts of the case and make decisions. These type of decisions, they're hard decisions. We very much appreciate the fact that you gave us the time because we've been here a long time. We understand that. You gave us the time and you put your best effort to see if you can bring the case to a resolution. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to happen. But I want to thank you again for your time and consideration.
So let's look at the comments. All American Bad Boys said Tory should have hired this dream team. 764 likes. Melly lawyer was Jordan in the 4th at the finals. They won't try him again. Trial was public and the defense will argue all the jurors are prejudiced. He free. Good. I don't believe he did it anyway. Glad this young man coming home. Hopefully he changes the friends he surrounded himself with. God giving him a second chance. Okay. He better go with God because that's who saved him. The lawyer's price just went up. Yesterday's price, not today's price. Once a criminal case, he has been ruled a mistrial. The prosecution may decide to refile the case. However, the judge may prevent them from doing so. When a judge rules a mistrial and dismisses a case with prejudice, the case cannot be retried later. Let's scroll further down. He not off yet though. They'll go retrial it. Laugh out loud. My people got to learn the law. We all know he did it, but well, innocent until proven guilty. OJ must be his uncle. Knew it. Same fine happened with the trial, right? Mistrial doesn't mean not guilty, but clearly they don't have enough evidence to convict. You know, at this point, I'm missing where they make disparaging and disrespectful comments about him. Nobody's talking about his facial appearance. Nobody's talking about his hair. Nobody's talking about his looks. The way in which we treat black men and black women is drastically different, right? For the most part, people are just saying whether or not they believe he's innocent or guilty, and they're saying that they don't believe he did it. They believe that he got off and that he should be thanking God. Tory need this lawyer. Shake my head. Not reaching a verdict is the verdict. He did that. I don't care. His mugshot and how he acted in the interrogation room is all I needed to see. And people are happy he's going to be free to come out and rap about violence. Our culture blows me sometimes. Now, that comment I agree with. I absolutely agree with that comment. Why is it that we're so happy to condemn black women, even when we can all collectively agree on that they did something that does need to be spoken out about, but we'll do so in a way that's similar to what we saw during slavery, which is not only the brutality of physically hurting and harming black women, but also of verbally speaking down and disrespecting black women, right? When I go through those comments, I notice that more people are concerned about whether or not he got a fair trial versus whether or not he's actually innocent versus guilty. Most people did not care about the facts of the case. It was just, oh well, he innocent. Y'all got to let him go and let bygones be bygones. You got to let that go. We can't judge him, right? Look at our communities. They look horrible. But going back to Carlee Russell, why is it that we don't give the same level of grace to black women? Simple. The black community does not like black women. The black community does not like black women and black children. The more I do videos, the more that becomes visible. We don't like black women and black children. I went over to a lawyer's page who frequently does videos regarding cases. And one of his takeaways was that more than likely this case will be seen again, will be retried because he killed 2 teenagers and they believe that, they're going to have to collect more evidence and be able to show why he should be in prison. And I agree with that. What I don't agree with is the fact that the black community seems to be hell-bent on destroying the community. And part of the reason why is because we don't want to hold black men accountable. And I'm going to show you what this lawyer had to say. Let me share my screen. See if I can find the video. Let's see. Lawyers for workers. What is that? Okay. Mo Gagnet. This was the lawyer that had so much to say about Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, but he made a comment regarding the young
YNW Melly mistrial. They're going to try him again, I suppose, maybe because what you would like to see after a mistrial is like a plea bargain type situation where the government just comes back with a reasonable offer. Now, if they wanted the guy on death penalty, there's going to be no plea bargains to be had. And I don't think the state is going to let this go because it's 2 kids who were killed. So this is going to be a whole new trial all over again. I can't see it going any other way. I wish we could have some resolution, but yeah, they're going to try him again, if you ask me.
Okay. Well, they're going to try him again. And if I don't know the full details of this case, but if it's alleged that, well, it's not alleged. They're saying that he killed two kids. And if that's the case and they have a lot of evidence to support that, but they couldn't get that this time around, then they should go about getting a new collection of jurors to retry this case, because we shouldn't want to have people like him in the community. And even though Carlee Russell did something that was bad, I'm not going to deny that. I don't even want to deny that there shouldn't be a level of accountability when it comes to situations like that, because as someone who does this work, I had to stand back and go, well, how do we prevent this from happening in the future? And the only way to do that is by showing that there will be accountability to be had if people are lying. Because the biggest issue here, and one of the issues that black man pointed out, the lawyer, he said this may prevent future victims from coming forward, and it may have an impact on black women. And now I may not have liked him calling out the fact that, why isn't this woman why hasn't she been arrested? We know she committed at least 3 crimes. I could not disagree with those points. Thus far, we have seen black women saying, like, I don't know. Like, if something happens, I might just deal with it on my own. We don't want to discourage victims from coming forward. We also don't want to see black women get less help and less resources because they're going to be like, well, I don't want to be a Carlee Russell. Part of the reasons why black women have these issues to begin with is because of how the people who are outside of our community, as well as black men, how they perceive us in the little bit of care and concern they even give to us. So we while we can't do much about that, because you can't show, if somebody doesn't see you as valuable, they just don't see you as valuable. That doesn't change the fact that you still have to fight for you and your kids to have the same freedom and resources as everybody else. And so with that said, I do believe that there should be accountability for people who lie, right? She not only just took away resources, she also opened up wounds for people who had lost a loved one in the same way. There were people out there who had a daughter that was killed several years ago, who was kidnapped and could not get the resources that they were able to give her. And so now she's opened wounds. And honestly, I just don't think that she cared, right? The more information that comes out, it's like she was just consumed with trying to get back at her boyfriend. And while that may be something that she needed to go through and address, she should not have gone about it this way. And with that said, I don't think the community will rally behind her not getting jail time. I don't think that the community will stop anytime soon about making jokes and memes about her. If you type in her name on YouTube right now, you're going to see all types of reaction videos, all types of videos about memes. You're going to see all types of videos just showing people going in on her and how you can't even trust black women. In fact, I had just watched Matt Walsh video in which he called out the racism behind Carlee Russell. He called out the fact that because her story received so much attention and news articles such as the Washington Post and other reputable magazines ran headlines that say that the reason why black women don't get resources is because they're black. And so for her to have done this, it became an example for those type of organizations to say, well, we gave her the resources and now look, she was a liar. So now not only did you defend a liar, but you made it about race. And now we see that she lied about it. So now all of this does fall back on black women. This is why I'm pro accountability. However, I'm pro accountability all around. Why are we going to condemn Carlee Russell but celebrate when Tory Lanez, well, not Tory Lanez, but YNW Melly gets off. The community right now is celebrating that he's not going to be held accountable, and that they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to get a conviction. The Black community is pretty much rejoicing in that. There are people and creators that were able to build platforms off of this YNW Melly situation. Law and crime literally went from a couple 100,000 to millions of followers because they've been posting about this trial since the longest, for the past couple of months. So why is it that we are more forgiving for Black men and we want to give them grace and mercy, but we don't even do this for Black women? Right? And it's because we don't value Black women. We don't value Black women. We don't value Black kids. We don't see the people of the community that actually hold up the community as having any value, right? This Carlee Russell situation won't go away anytime soon. And in fact, we'll probably be talking about it. I won't be talking about it, but you're going to see videos and community posts being made about Carlee Russell for at least, I would say, another couple weeks, because you have to keep in mind, I do believe that the police at some point is going to come out and say, hey, we're going to charge her. And that's going to start this situation right over again, in which you will have people making posts, dragging her in their videos like they've been doing since the police have basically come out to say that this is a lie. Right? And once again, I don't have a problem with Carlee Russell being held accountable. I won't do it. I won't be making those types of videos because I know that the collective of the community is going to do it. But why can't we have the same energy and attitude towards Black men who inflict some of the most horrible violence on our community? Why can't we hold them to the same standard? And it's because we coddle and love Black boys and Black men, and we humiliate, degrade, and dismiss Black women and Black girls. And that's something that needs to stop. And Black women do it too. Let's just be all the way honest. Let's be all the way real. Black women do it too. And it's unfair to the collective of us, especially when we know the collective of Black women uphold the community. If it wasn't for Black women, Blackness and Black culture and Black men would have really fallen by the wayside, right? We probably wouldn't even have the things that we have if it wasn't for Black women trying to create checks and balances. However, the more time that passes and the more Black women who divest from the Black community, I don't foresee the community being able to hold on much longer, because Black men are not committed to upholding the community. And Black women, I know I am, at least I am, I'm tired. I'm tired of coming out defending the Black community, aka Black men, and now sometimes Black women, from racism, sexism, xenophobia. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of coming out to defend a community that tells me I don't have value and that you don't like me, right? And I know I'm not the only Black woman. I'm tired of dealing with it. And I think so many of us have been caught up on trying to save the community, when the reality, maybe it's best to let the community burn down and we pick up and build somewhere else. Maybe it's time for us to declare certain areas of America, like Detroit, Illinois, Chicago, Illinois, Houston, Texas, pretty much wherever there's a large population of Black people, because wherever there's a large population of Black people, there's a large population of violence. Maybe it's just time to declare these areas as war zones. Let the man in blue come in and give them their years of imprisonment and then build somewhere else. Because upholding the system of Black degeneracy, that's what I call it, Black degeneracy, while trying to fight white supremacy is too tiring. And I'm not about to live however many years I have left on this earth. I'm not about to live those years fighting both battles. It's too much. It's too much to go over here and fight white supremacy. People denying that racism exists. They deny that racism was impactful. They deny that not only can you be racist and sexist, you can be racist, but you can also be a racist sexist against Black women. People deny that. I'm tired of it. And then you come back to your community and then you have to fight Black men on massage noir. They'll never give it up because that's where Black men feel as though that they can exercise who they are as men. Black men have built themselves off of misogyny, off of massage noir. They will never take it serious. They won't take us serious until they see that we are okay living without them. And most Black women I can see now, like the Carlee Russells, right? Because she didn't want to let her Black cane go either. That's why she in this situation. That is why she is in this situation. She didn't want to let her Black cane go. And look at what spectacle she created for herself. Look at what's happening to her. I will never, ever, ever in life be that committed to a person in which my entire life is pretty much gone. These people are making plans on Facebook to make sure that she's never able to even get into school, nursing school, get her education. They want her put in prison. These people are basically saying that you will not have a life any longer. She's 25 years old. Do you see any grace or mercy being extended to her? Because I don't see people falling back to say, you know what, after a couple years when this died down, we just let her, you know, let her rebuild. People need grace and mercy. I have not seen one comment that says, give her the grace and mercy that you extended OJ Simpson. Give her the grace and mercy that you extended Tory Lanez or Meek Mills. These people ain't trying to give Black women grace and mercy. They think that we should be held accountable and that once we do something like this, you no longer have any value in society. And that's because they never seen you as having value. But now that you've done something in which they can point at, they don't want to see you ever be amongst them. There are nurses out there who are allegedly white supremacists. And these are the reasons why the mortality rate amongst pregnant women is so high. Do you see white women out here putting on the cape to say, we going to make sure that we rid nursing of white supremacists? They ain't even doing that for their own community. But you so caught up in this girl not ever being a nurse because of what she did that you going to go about your life making sure she never get a job. And it's simple. In our community, these people will definitely come over, be in these groups, and do the best that they can to assimilate in regards to showing and being able to, in regards to showing their disdain for Black women, while at the same time just not liking Blackness. But when situations like this occur, they use these as an example of, I'm not racist. I'm just over here saying that, yeah, she should be held accountable. And what they're going to do is piggyback off of what they see Black men and some Black women saying. So I'm just tired. I'm not about to continue to fight Black degeneracy and white supremacy. How many of you were on my channel back when the Chef Way situation occurred? Y'all remember Chef Way, right? The chef who was also a lawyer in Harris County, Texas, who had a history of verbally attacking women, dark-skinned Black women on Twitter. How many of y'all remember that? Right? How many of you guys remember the comments that he made regarding Black women? Initially, I wasn't going to share this with you guys because I was just going to let it be quiet because I reached out to someone involved in the case. But I think this is a good time for me to bring it up and share with you guys. But just as a refresher, here's what Chefway wrote. Shake my head. The dark one messed up the pic. She's too dark. Waymo the God make black women make good for punching bags. If Black Lives mattered to Sandra Bland, she wouldn't have taken her own life. I'm serious too. Wayman Wesley literally wrote stuff like this, then got his law license and somehow got employed in Harris County DA's office. And when his old tweets resurfaced, everybody made highlighted this situation to show, look, black men are showing that they don't like black women. And now that we have this as an example, we need to be more focused on making sure that we also rid these professions of black men who hate black women. Now, I don't know about you, but that just became another example of black men not deserving our love and loyalty, right? To me, black men should be speaking out for themselves. But I went on a crusade and trying to not only get this man fired, but also seeing if there was any type of lawsuit that he could be held accountable for. And while I was doing that, I didn't tell my audience this at the time, but I was also being harassed via my emails. Look what this person wrote to me. Look at the name. Bitch, blunt, ha ha ha, geniusboy9218 @gmail.com. You've been harassing Chefway for the past 2 weeks. Leave him alone. It's like y'all want this black man to be homeless on the streets. And it's clear you don't even like black men. You fake blank Cynthia G blank, right? Look at the time frame he wrote this to me. He wrote this after I had made a couple of posts about Chefway. Now, at the time, I had reached out to many of people, not just lawyers in Texas, but a lot of people. And the news story, when this was going on, a news station ran a story showing a judge who said that he should be held accountable for what he said and he shouldn't be in his position. So I'm going to remind you about who this lady is, show you who this lady is, and let you know that I reached out to her. But I want you to see what she had to say.
Former U.S. District Judge Vanessa Gilmore says considering his position as a prosecutor, an apology isn't enough.
It's not that he doesn't deserve forgiveness. He just does not deserve to be in a place that, one, shows that he may not be able to be fair in terms of his own decision-making process, and two, where it disparages and undermines people's confidence in the justice system.
District Attorney Kim Ogg disagrees. She released a statement calling the tweets inappropriate and offensive, but acknowledged that Wesley has gone through treatment to resolve his issues. Part of it says, quote, his recovery is ongoing. I am a believer in second chances. The backlash online has been less forgiving. Culinary companies say they have cut ties with him because he does not share their core values and they do not condone his past behavior. Gilmore, who spent much of her career combating bias in the justice system, says Wesley's consequences should extend to the courtroom, where she questions how fairly he can make decisions about the demographic he disrespected.
It shows you what their implicit bias might be when it comes to other important decisions, such as charging decisions, which the prosecutors have a lot of discretion over, such as whether they're going to charge somebody, and particularly with respect to things like what kind of sentence they might recommend.
On Friday, civil rights groups plan to hold demonstration in front of the DA's office calling for Wesley's firing. He has not responded to our requests for an interview. In Houston, I'm Brianna Connor.
All right. So as you see what she said, that lady was a judge who was appointed back in 1994. And she sat on the court as a judge in Harris County in Texas for almost 30 years. And she did not retire until last year, right? And what she said was he should be held accountable and that he has shown that he may have a bias against Black women, that demographics, right? So when I saw that video, I'm like, oh my God, I need to speak to this lady because she would know how to help us and we could start our case that way. So I was able to find information in which I was able to email her. And the response back that I got was I don't even know how you explain it. The response I got back was laughable. But as you can see, Vanessa Gilmore, former U.S. District Judge of the United States for Southern District of Texas, she was appointed to this position by President Bill Clinton in 1994. At that time, she was the youngest sitting federal judge in the United States. So I emailed her and I said, hey, do you think that you would be able to assist us with this case? We would like to see if we can bring about charges against Chef Wayman Wesley. And this was the message I received back. I received your message, but I'm not sure why you're contacting me about Wayman Wesley. As you know, he has resigned, so there is really nothing more for the DA to do. I also don't see the point in filing a civil suit. Who would it be against? Anyway, as a mediator / arbitrator, I'm not practicing law. Here is the copy of what he wrote about the incident for your information. While his past made him unsuitable to hold that position, we all deserve grace. Child, when I read that last part, I was just done. I was just so done. And the reason why I was done is because I did not understand how somebody could be a person like that. And I hope you guys saw that. I hope I was sharing my screen when I read that. And just in case I wasn't, I'm gonna go back. Right. When I read that comment, I became discouraged, right? Because here you have this Black woman who made a lot of statements on that news on that video that covered the situation. And here she's saying, well, there's nothing that can be done past him being taken out of that position, which is basically what you guys, all you're going to get. I understood that part. It wasn't something that I wanted to accept. The last part of we all deserve grace, to me, it took me out because why am I extending grace to somebody who said that Sandra Bland committed suicide, right? He basically degraded, he made a habit out of going online, degrading, humiliating, and advocating for Black women to take themselves out to commit suicide. He made it a habit out of doing that. And now I'm supposed to extend grace to somebody who has made it very clear they don't like Black women. So after doing all of this research and being on YouTube for the past year and a half and seeing that Black women do not get the same level of love, mercy, and grace as everybody else in the world, and as well as in our community, I have now just gotten to a point of where I don't even think that the Black community can be redeemed. I think that if Black women wanted to see the Black community improve, you would have to become a pro gun right, pro police individual. And all you would be doing from this point on is cleanup. You would be helping to clean up the drugs, helping to clean up the gang violence, helping to clean up the sex trafficking, the human trafficking. That's all you could be to the community right now because you have a community that's divided. You also have to clean out the people who want to interracially date and encourage other people, right, within your community to do the same. I don't have a problem with people interracially dating. I have a problem when black men go over to other black men, because we know that they're the biggest encouragers, and they say, why you with her? Emmett Till didn't die because for you to be with a black woman, right? We have a lot of division and divisive people in our community. We have a lot of problems in our community. So much so that you can't help the community. You can't help the community. What can I, as a black woman, outside of just bringing, you know, bringing my experience and, you know, the accomplishments or whatever I've gained as far as skills, outside of that, you can't really help the community. And the people that you try to help, some of them take advantage of you. You got too much going on in your community for you to be as big as to be the impact that's needed. What's going to need to happen is that there's going to have to be a cleanup. You're going to have to clean up everything that I mentioned and just tell the people who are either mixed, hey, you got your own community, go work on that community. Hey, you want to interracially date? More power to you. Go over to the swirl community and be in that community. We got too many people who are trying to be in a community, leech off the resources, extract the resources, and cause harm to the community. And I say all of that to say that I'm not sure what initially I was going to rename this channel because I'm like unbiased and unbossed no longer fit the direction that I'm going in. But at the same time, it's predominantly been focused on black women, and black women are showing me, this is not just from the Carlee Russell situation. It's from, black women. I'm not sure how to help black women, right? I'm not sure where I fit in the black community, specifically around black women, because black women speak and act sometimes just like males do. When you come out and say that black men shouldn't be doing this, black women also rally to destroy you. If you come out and say that black women, we shouldn't be so far and focused within feminism because white women don't see us as allies, they see us as tools, you also get condemned from them. Right? And like with Chef Way and the YNW Melly situation, you're not going to be extended the grace and mercy that black men and black boys are going to be given. With all of that said, if you're not interested in cleaning up the community, you're better off just walking away from the community and acting as if you were never a part of our community and just living your best life. And ultimately, I don't want to do that. I think that our ancestors did so much for us to even have this freedom. But at the same time, it's exhausting to be black. And as a black woman, it's exhausting and dangerous to be a black woman. It's beautiful to be a black woman. I think black women are beautiful. But the way black women have been socialized and told how you fit in America, what you're good for, what you're not good for, and the fact that so many black women keep falling in line with how we are to be used, I'm not sure that we will continue to stay afloat in America. I was just reading, I was just looking at a video that's on the Forbes YouTube account, and it spoke about how many migrants have come over. And at that point, I thought it was just a couple hundred. I didn't know it was thousands. They said thousands a week. They said they biggest in 1 week or a month was 90,000. Where do you think these people are predominantly going to come to? The black community. If all of those people who are unvetted, who they now know are traffickers, because that's what the hoopla, the uproar is about, what do you think that's going to do to the black community? What is that going to do to us, right? Think about it right now. You not safe in your own community because of some of your people. Now other people are about to be added to your community. What about the fact that so many homeless black people got put out during the pandemic, but you have migrants who are coming over and saying, we need to put them to work. We gonna give them money. So you about to have homeless black people in our communities. Meanwhile, people who just came over are about to be given checks. They're about to be given work visas. They're about to be given IDs, and they're gonna be in your communities. This is once again, you about to show that you're gonna be the employee versus the employer. And why am I saying that? Once again, you voted Democrat, or you just voted for somebody who's more pro-immigrant than pro-black people. The Democratic Party is really the demonic party, because ain't no way in hell black people are going to stay afloat with these people in office. And I said all that to say that it's become a burden to be a black woman in America. It's beautiful being a black woman, but it's become a burden. And I feel bad. I have cried about this. I feel so bad for the little black boys and black girls who will not have a chance because the black community cannot get it together. And the most impact, the person who will always be the most impacted within our community will always be the black women and black girls. And if we cannot work as a community, as a group of women, because it really just comes down to us, then we don't really have a future. And if that's the case, I would say that if you and your loved ones are in any areas like this, take your people, get away from those communities, and do what you can to go start a community outside of the black, of all of the known black communities. That's really what it's going to take. And with all that said, I'm going to read y'all comments and then go from there. Joe Biden and Kamala told y'all that black people still voted for them. You know what? It's sad. It's like it's going to take a really big force to say, hey, the Democratic Party is only for immigrants, white women, and the LGBTQ plus community. Now, if you're a black person that is within one of them communities, you'll benefit. But if you're not going to benefit, which is why you should not be voting for those people. Great commentary on Carlee. It is over the top. It is very over the top. Very over the top. That group has hundreds of memes, and they've been posting daily. When I tell you a week ago, that group only had about 5,000 people, and that since it's come out that this was more likely a host, it's sitting at almost 1,000 people. And most of the people who are making those memes are white people. Most of them people who saying we gonna hold her accountable is white people. I'm not saying you can't go over to that group and find black people. You most definitely will. But you gonna see white people loving the fact that they can finally come out and say, send them to jail. They shouldn't get nothing. And they have found their community. The black community seems to get more and more degenerate, and the white community seems to know how to assimilate in these spaces without showing a racist hand. A black man, I will call the police on him real quick. I will call the police on anybody. Black man, black woman, because ultimately black men would not be as powerful if they did not have the cooperation from black women. Come over illegally and drain resources at black people's expenses. Exactly, red state, blue state. Exactly. What is going to happen? They've already they said in the last year alone, we had 100,000 immigrants. 100,000 immigrants. And you Russian, it's funny with the immigrants, they don't talk about how hard it'll be to get an ID. Right? Why are you dumbing down black people to say we know what's best for you? But then the immigrants, they'll figure it out. Oh, they'll figure it out. They're not dumb. If they not dumb, then why do they? If they not dumb, then why do you keep allowing them into a country in which clearly you need to focus on other groups if you believe that they are dumb? And it's because I think for the most part, America doesn't have a problem replacing the black community with other minority groups. They just don't want other minority groups who've shown a level of integrity to remain committed to their community and to try to overthrow white people. They don't want them minorities. And Asians think that they gonna be an ally. No, white people are always in competition, and Asians have shown that they are very competitive. 98% of Blackistan have mental illness and are walking dead zombies. That may be true. That may be true. I'm not burdened at all. I created a culture for myself. That's what's gonna need to happen. I've dumped all trash stress free, as we should all be. Too many of us want to allow non-black American women into our circles. They don't realize or care about the consequences. Yeah, I used to do that. I used to be one of those women who thought that you can, the more allies you got, the more you'll get accomplished and that we'll all be helping each other, until I realized that an ally, when it comes to black women, they want you as the mule. They want to use your plight as their plight. And then when you help them accomplish their mission or get some type of settlement of that, they want to put you on the wayside and say that you never had anything to do with that, right? I've seen it so many times throughout history, and I've had it happen to me a few times, so much so to the point of where to me, you fight for your issues, I fight for my issues, and we just gonna leave it at that. Because you're not obligated to help me, and I'm not obligated to help you. What they try to do is make it seem that way. Well, if you don't fight for these women issues, you're going to be more impacted. Here's the thing. I'm going to be impacted regardless. The only thing I won't be is exhausted. Black women hate each other. Evil dust demons hate us, all black women. And unfortunately, black male identity dust worshippers are given the dust demons. Yep. My thought process is there a way for me to help get as many people who don't want to live that lifestyle out of the community while leaving these women with their kids? The black community is the only community that doesn't have real men present. That's why those communities were chosen. Yep, absolutely. Letting white women braid their hair or the whisk, all the while being mean girls to other black women, so treasonous. Yeah, black men like that. I think black men who get with white women, not all of them, but I would say the collective of them being able to have a white woman and being accepted to a certain extent, they think that they're able to participate in white supremacy, and therefore that's where they want to build their community. And they enjoy seeing black women degraded, devalued, and discriminated against on race, because they believe that we don't have value. Same with trans men. Black women were trans biggest ally, and now they're bullying women. Yeah, I was getting ready to do a video on the Just Hilarious situation, because she came out and said, look, trans women are not women, right? We don't mind y'all being trans, but y'all need to stop trying to assimilate and take away, things that are things and social services that have been created for actual women. I will never let a white woman braid my hair. I don't support trans. There are some white women that can braid. I don't mind having my hair braided by someone who is not black. I mind someone trying to participate in a culture and say that now. I mind someone who tries to colonize something that belongs to a different culture. I mind if we have micro styles, hairstyles, and names for our braids, and then you try to colonize it and say, well, these are itsy bitsy spider braids, right? Because that's what they do. I don't think black people, especially black women, when it comes to looking at women, understand how women colonize. White women colonized your womb, right? White women colonized you as a mother. They said, hey, I don't want these aspects of motherhood. And they made your children as well as you deal with those things. And women don't look at that as colonizing. Women don't say, hey, you're taking me away. You took our ancestors away from our children to focus on you so that you didn't have to participate in motherhood. And we don't call that out today as we should, because the white man colonized black men and black women, right? We may have shared colonizing. There may have been similarities in colonizing, us not having our freedom, us being shackled, us having to put in work to build wealth for other people, but black men and black women were not treated the same. If there were really trans people, right? Wouldn't we have seen that on the plantation? Wouldn't we have read books about that? So when black women go out and defend this group of people, you're basically saying, hey, I want you to deny the plight of your ancestors, where we didn't see trans or even read about transgender people on the plantation. And now I want you to say that you're not a woman. We've already been fighting our racial identity with mixed race women. Now we got to fight for our gender. And now we can't be who we are. We've already had this fight. We've already had to go about these cases in front of the Supreme Court. And now we're having to do it again. We've regressed as a group of women. If I have to debate mixed race women on my race, and then I have to debate trans women on my gender, right? These are arguments that you didn't even, these are arguments that your ancestors already debated, right? Because you weren't seen as women, right? You were seen as animals. You had to fight to be seen as a black woman. And now we have to go back to fighting for that shit again. Ain't nobody got time for that. And it's because we've regressed. Remember when they said Northwest cornrows were influenced and inspired her hair through cornrows haven't existed before her mama started jumping on black peen. Yeah, and lock yo stupid too. What is Kevin talking about? Stars above the emerald forest. I didn't remember that, but it does sound like something crazy that they would say. It does sound crazy. It does sound like something that they would say. What I don't like is the fact, I understand that mixed race girls are going to want to participate in black culture to where they're going to want to have braids. That's fine. But learn the names. That's it. Just learn the names. It's not as widespread as the community would like people to believe. They used to be considered mentally ill and still are in many cultures around the world. I think we're going to have to go back to that mentality. When you look at the way America is going right now, we're so caught up on these wars of identity issues that we're not able to be as impactful in other areas that we need to be. Because this immigration situation should be top 3, right? I shouldn't be having to learn about 100 genders when we all know that there are only 2. You're taking too much time out of my life. Black people didn't even care that white people and a few other blacks wanted to change their gender. We didn't even care about that. They were able to come to our community, live off our resources, and party with us, right? We didn't even care about that. We started to care when they started to indoctrinate us and our kids, and then label us as transphobic. Now we care. And it's like, well, y'all should have cared a long time ago because this is where it was always hitting to. The fact that white people, and we know this is predominantly white people, but also black men, that you will do that to a community that rallied and supported you up until you turned against the community. The fact y'all would do that just shows that integration will never be integration is not something that most people should support when it comes down to it, because it seems like the moment you integrate, the moment you accept people, is the moment that they want to try to colonize and label you the bad guy. And that's exactly how the LGBTQ plus movement went, especially when it comes to transgender, right? They told you we came into y'all. That's why they like so much of the old soul music, right? That's why they like the Gloria Gaynor music and the YMCA. It's because when they were going through their coming out, they had to go to areas of America where they would even be accepted. You came into our clubs. You came into our communities. How many of y'all remember that the reason why Jeffrey Dahmer lived where he lived was because he could be who he was? Right? And look what he did to the community. All we have are examples of when we say, when we don't care about you being in our community, oop, look at what you did. You killed our community members, right? Jeffrey Dahmer, a good example, lived in the predominantly black area, and look at what he was doing to black men. Right? Nobody talks about that though. Right? You don't want to talk about how we allow y'all to come into our communities. We don't trip when y'all coming in our communities, right? We don't throw on hoods. We don't burn crosses. We don't do anything like that. We may make comments, absolutely, but they know that we don't go to the extent of trying to get them out of our communities like they do us. But when we do that, look at how much of a danger you become to our community. Jeffrey Dahmer would not have been able to kill as many people as he did if he was in their community. You know why? Because the first couple of people who started to show up missing, and it was linked to Jeffrey Dahmer, they would have been doing an investigation. They had one of his victims was an Asian man who was able to get out the house, and the police took him back to the house. Imagine if that was a white man. They wouldn't have taken that man back to the house. They would have further investigated that situation. So once again, you're more of a danger to us than we are to you. But yet y'all trying to make a plight off of us. The same thing with Asians. Asians are able to come into our communities, build their businesses that they use to send their kids to all of these schools, and then you still talk down to us. You still treat us disrespectfully. You still dehumanize us. It sounds like y'all don't want. I think there is a collective effort in America from all groups, and some of them are us, right? Even black men, in which we don't want to see black people progress. They really just want to end us. And we don't want to be honest. We don't want to take that serious. When you look at the way people behave around us, the way they act, the way they try to show us that we'll never be anything more than what we are, these are people who don't like black people. And they don't like us because we're black. A lot of people feel as though we shouldn't have the things that we have. And the only time we should have it is when one of us, like a Candace Owens, is in cahoots with them. Think about the wording that they use when you have a job. Well, you only got that because of affirmative action. So are you saying that this company only promotes white people, and that for me to have gotten it as a black person it was because y'all stopped being racist at that moment? Because that's what you're saying. There is a level of anti-blackness in this country that people don't want to address because they know it benefits them. And I'm tired of it. Dealing with white supremacy while dealing with black degeneracy is too much. We don't chase them out like sundown towners, right? Black, let me go up some. In SF, they partied with blacks only to turn around and show we don't chase, Black men fought hard for integration because it would give them access to white women. Black men have literally been dying to lay with white women. I think we should have let them have that. How do we as black women get out of these communities and start building on our own? I honestly believe I could take a group of black women, figure out a place wherever in America or where we can have our own fields and build. And in 5 years, we can create our own little New York, our own little Chicago. But if I were to throw in the mix of black man with that, it would be another Chicago as it is now. The problem that black women don't want, the problem with black women is that we don't want to collectively say black men are the reason why we can't have good shit. Black men are the reason why we can't build. Most black women are conservative. It's only until recently that you hear black women talking about they don't mind being in the three-way relationship. They don't mind, sharing a man. You got to do all that with the black man because the black man has basically said, look, I ain't settling down. I'm not about to be with one woman and it be black. You have had to give up so much to try to make them comfortable, and they're never comfortable. They're never okay. And it's because you literally giving kids everything that they want. The black man has a childlike mindset. Give him an inch, he'll run a mile. So what do you do as a black woman? Because you have to do something about it. You can't continue to allow these men to run. You can't continue to allow these men to run you down. Black men, white, we've always been the red carpet for others. People from all other communities use us to advance. Just like illegal aliens want reparations because they are Latino. Yep. I'm sick of it. Integration resulted in the decline of black-owned businesses. Integration was pushed mainly by black men who want to date and marry non-black women. Yep. Yes, they do. They will be coming for us too. Black men don't think fat meat is greasy. That's why their guard is down. Yep. Truth. I witnessed the black man coach a preference on how to do little work and leave the bulk of it for black. What? Leave it for black women? I honestly believe that black men want black women as slaves. Black men have shown me that they want what the white man had during slavery. Even I'm starting to go back to read about mixed race people, them having their own identity. And when you really look at it, it's black men wanting to have the same thing that the white man did during slavery, but saying, no, it's not racist. Black men are the biggest pushers of interracial dating, mixed race children. They don't do anything to contribute to the community that they're now in. And they constantly want to degrade you and say how you don't fit with it. You're ugly and how you don't measure up to these women. That's what slavery was about for women. What he's following? Armory XDM. What he's following? Carlee, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Thankfully, I'm from a small town with very few black guys. I wish more black women would leave those major cities for small towns. Apparently, Jason Aldean said, don't try that in a small town. And black men will up that. I'm not upset by it. The reality is this. people in small towns know each other. People in small towns are not going to allow outsiders of any color to come in telling them how to do X, Y, and Z. And we all know that means that they definitely not going to let black people do it. And so that's not the part that I was upset about with that song. However, the more you look into it, they said he did that at the courthouse that had the sundown, that was known at a state that had the sundown rules at one point. And so people were like, no, that's lynching. And it was like, I can't even be that upset about that song because you got rap songs that will tell you they murdered somebody and the person actually dead. Like the YN Melly situation. He really did kill some people and he put that in the song, I think. So I'm not about to go above and beyond for that music video, but I am gonna be mindful that he said it. So he did snap on that song. Some black guys did have slaves. Yep. Some, like my ancestors, married octoroons who were slaves, brought their freedom, and made their wives pay them back. Think black women are the mothers of civilizations and want nothing right until these people do right by us. I think when black men start to see their own demise, they still won't turn to the black woman to repair their community. It will be too late. Here's what I think should happen. I think most black women should come to the conclusion that, hey, everything that we were taught to be a part of did not benefit us and only continues to hurt the community. And with that said, black women rallying saying, hey, we need to make sure that when it comes to certain crimes, people get life sentences with no eligibility for parole. And this is what I'm thinking. The crimes that should fall within that is selling dope to your community, human trafficking, sex trafficking, and gang violence. When those 4 rules roll out, let it do what it do, and I assure you within 3 to 5 years, your community will look very different. As women, we will then say, hey, I want my identity as a black woman. Mixed race women are not black. Therefore, they're not entitled to anything that's established for black women. Now, if reparations is ever approved, understandably, you would get reparations. But when I start to push for certain things for black women, it should be understood that I'm not pushing for mixed race women. I'm pushing for black people. I'm pushing for black women. That's going to take care of that. Then having black women say, hey, this is what makes you a black woman. This is what makes you a black woman. When you begin to delineate and distinguish yourself from them and saying this is what a black woman is, they're going to feel the need to do the same. And when they do that, that's going to begin to solve the identity issues, the identity complexes, and it's also going to solve other issues that I haven't mentioned related to mixed race women extracting resources from the little bit of blackness that they have in them, right? Because ultimately it's not fair. Viola Davis doesn't look like Beyonce. Viola Davis doesn't even look like what's her name? Naomi Osaka, right? It's wrong for us to say that mixed race women face the same level of disrespect as black women when we know that there's a difference. And if we're going to be all the way 100, all the way for real, mixed didn't become black until the miscegenation laws were overturned and until affirmative action was established. This is where we see them saying, hey, I'm black. And it's not fair, right? Mixed is mixed. Mixed is not black. Furthermore, haven't y'all noticed the amount of mixed race people getting with mixed race people and then them creating children that are lighter than them? And then them telling them kids that they black, they came from a black parent. I'm not about to continue to go down the confusion. I think that I'm being honest here, you guys, and I'm just letting you guys know. At some point, I want to create a organization that's specifically for black women who are the descendants of slaves who are black, though, There are descendants of slaves that have whited themselves out. All that means is that at one point, somebody in your family, your lineage was black. But therefore, for some of us, for a lot of us, at one point, somebody in our lineage was white. But the bulk of us, but the bulk of me makes up black. Therefore, there is a difference between me and a Zendaya. I think we need an organization that's specifically for descendants of black slaves who are black. And based on what we come together in these meetings, what we have to say, that is what should be carried out. And the biggest issues impacting us right now is black femicide, black identity, the more black maternity, and community. What we need to make it best to what we need in America to make it more hospitable for us is a space that does not have the mindset of the white woman or the black man. And I think that non-Democrats and people of other communities can see that. And it's all about how do we get that? And I think it's going to take a show of saying, hey, we not for the violence in our community. We need to do something about that. Hey, we not about the sex trafficking. Hey, we not about the immigration. Hey, we not about, all the bullet points that the LGBTQ plus community is putting forth right now. I think we have to distinguish ourselves from the black people, specifically black women, who have shown that, we just want to be included and we don't care how much of a damage that's going to do to our community. I think we have to distinguish ourselves from that. And once we do that, we may be able to go in and ask for certain things from the government to show that, we have a plight, but we also understand that we're still American. And how do we accomplish this? And figuring out a way to do that has been challenging, but I think we can do it. But I don't know how many of us are on the same page when it comes to that. Because when I post these little comments on my page, I'll get a lot of people who will be for it. Then you'll get some people that's just like, no. Like I said, should we distinguish ourselves from mixed race women? And should we hold people accountable and have something called racial fraud? And people were like, no, I don't think we should do that. We should do that. If something like affirmative action can be turned over because somebody lied about their race, then you should have racial fraud, right? A Asian man lied about being black to tell other white people and Asian people that, look, I was a bad student and you shouldn't have this because you're discriminating against Asians. Now, mind you, he was an Asian that got in. This is why you need accountability. That way, when people like him come out and do stuff like this, you can say, hey, and make sure that you find him and he go to jail. And then you as a community come out and say, hey, when people do things like this, here is how it hurts us. When the trans community say that you're not saying that them being a woman hurts them, I need you to affirm me. I need you to say this, Y, and Z. Well, I need you to affirm that mixed ain't black. I need you to affirm that the actions that you did to show that black people are being put in position simply because they're black versus black people having a history of us being taken out or not being considered for these positions. I need for you to acknowledge that. And I need you to be held accountable. We need to do the same things to them that they do to us. And I think that there are people in the government who see that and want to help, but they don't know how. And it's going to take for women to do that. I don't think that we can even partner with black men. I think black men have shown that they've shown disdain for the community, and they've shown that they don't want to be a contributing member. And with that said, let the women who want to just be male focused, let them help them. And we should just focus on us. There is a way to establish a village of just us. There is a tiny village for trans and victims of domestic violence. There is a way to establish one for just black women with certain mindsets there's a tiny village for trans? Of course it is. Why would I even second guess that? That Indian guy didn't even have the best grades when he got in. Yeah, he didn't have the best grades. He said he had a 3.1 and got into medical school. And those test scores are not good for someone going to medical school. He was black when it benefited him, but hates us at the same time. I hope your black husband doesn't for wanting to have that all black woman community. Oh, correct mix ain't black. Right. My thought process is that whoever marries a black, there's not a lot, but there are some good black men, right? Ultimately, those will be the people that have the black kids. They'll carry on the black goals. And hopefully, as the community turns around, we'll see more black couples, that are getting together for the long haul and doing what needs to be done to build communities. But I really think it's about cleaning up the community, right? Because when we examine other communities and why they don't have these problems, it's because they have checks and balances, right? White man can't do all of the things that the black man does. The Asian man can't do everything that the black man does. And I think it has a lot to do with black women not having self-esteem and not having value, right? If black men did not have black women to fall back on, a lot of them wouldn't be in the community. They just wouldn't. Yes, plus many of them cheat to get in. Info kept secret. I wish the good ones had a voice. It kind of makes them invisible. When I speak to black men who don't come out and say anything, because in my opinion, how can you really be a good black man if you have to condemn the bad in order to be a good one? And it's like our voice would never be echoed, right? I think for so long, the black community has rallied and supported and uplifted the bad black man that so much of them outnumber the good black man. And that's unfortunate because it's the man of the community that's supposed to be providing and protecting. And because we don't have that, this just creates a burden on black women because we're constantly having to fight our own community. And men and women are biologically different. We don't have the strength or power to fight them in the same way that they like to fight us, which is physically. We out here, even though people think we don't exist. Y'all need to speak up still. The so-called good ones are cowardly. I agree. Like we still need y'all speaking up. Like I get it gets a little difficult, but if you're not gonna speak, here's the thing. Like that one comment on that post was from a man, but how many of us saw those posts prior to that one guy speaking out in the YNW Melly case? A lot of them were from women saying good that they happy he free. The one that said now free Tory, that was a woman. So this mindset that's in our community is really terrible. I think what's gonna need to happen first is black people coming out against the violence. I think it's going to have to be a collective effort of speaking out against the violence in our community. Once the violence and these people begin to go to jail, I think it will be helpful because you're not going to have to deal with so many of the community. Once the community begins to become fewer and fewer of violent people, the more it will be safer. People will be able to be more vocal. We will be able to we will be able to protect not just people but our property. It's really going to take black people coming together or the people in your community all together saying, hey, we need to go back to being a law-abiding community. How do we get rid of the rules that existed to just defeat and undermine Black upliftment, while at the same time being able as a community to condemn and hold accountable the Black people who don't want to be community oriented. And so until we see that population reduce, we're going to constantly be at odds. And I think that's what the first step of action is: the violence. Calling for an end to violence, and then asking the government for a life sentences. Like, if you 18 years old and you done killed people, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be out on the street. You're a danger to the community, right? If you're a woman and you're involved in sex trafficking, you shouldn't be out on the street. Life sentences. Black women, these are the issues we should be fighting for. That's what I'm about, right? As a Black woman, I think that all forms of human trafficking, sex trafficking, all of these should come with life sentences. As somebody who's a descendant of an American slave, I don't take these crimes lightly. I want life sentences. I want to see you go to jail for the rest of your life. Oh, that's you migrated to this country. Okay, you did what? All right. Well, when he's done serving his time, he has to leave the country. That's what I'm about. Yep, even in my neighborhood, my hubby tries to let it be known what's right, spends time talking to the youngsters. He's only one Black man, though. Yeah, they're outnumbered. Good. I'm not going to lie about that. I think good Black men are outnumbered, and they don't know exactly what to do when you got a group of men who've shown that they don't care about going to jail for killing somebody. Honestly, now that I think about it, when the good ones talk, they still will not listen. Being a good man in person makes you soft or a simp. Yeah. Also, pimping was the Black man's version of being a slave owner. And so when you not being a pimp, they call you a simp. I just want to get rid of all terminology in that existed to undermine and disrespect Black women. Like, we should have never started using those type of wording. Nope, not my tax dollar equals death penalty. Oh yeah, I do believe Detroit. There are certain cities that need the death penalty back. Detroit, Houston, Texas, and Chicago, Illinois, and California. Those places have the most femicide violence that I've ever seen. No, I don't think there should be life sentences. Too many innocent Black people being thrown in jail as it is. If these people are selling drugs and engaging in gang violence, sex trafficking, and human trafficking, why shouldn't they be life sentences? If you guilty of the crime, you should be in jail. That's for a man to figure out. We just need to get the hell out of Dodge. Ma'am, when Black men are attracted to Black women, not just because we give birth to them. If you get out of Dodge, Black men are going to seek you out. Do you think that we could get out of Dodge and go to an area that they won't flee to? Because they won't be able to survive in those communities. If you begin to talk about how you're getting out of these communities and y'all start actually leaving, you don't think that they'll come try to seek you out? Your cousin, somebody in your family going to invite one of them down, and then next thing you know it, you got a whole bunch of Black. They're going to seek you out and try to come there. Right. Sex traffickers and killers need to get the death penalty. Absolutely. Not of they can't afford it. Okay. So if you go live in a high-end city, okay, but how many of the Black women and the Black children that need to leave and try to leave will be able to afford to live in a high-end city or a high-end place? Right? A lot of them ain't gonna be able to afford it. I think as a community, we've lost sight of the importance that the criminal justice system plays in us having a safe area, because we're always trying to get somebody out of jail. I don't care about people going to jail for life if you're out here doing crime and committing robberies and stuff like that. I don't even care if they got you for the wrong crime. If you was out here doing one of them, but they got you for the wrong one, I'm not about to fight for you. Oh well. Not if they can afford. What did you say? I once saw a black man say that black women great more than black men do. Yeah, look at them. Where do you even get stats like that? This is survival at this point. They can leave, but don't think they're in danger. And as a black woman, how many of you are comfortable going to a predominantly white place where there are no other black women? Don't you want a community with other black women? Because I do. I want a safe community. I don't mind living in a diverse community, but I don't want to live in a community of where I'm the only one or one of 10 in that community, because it's going to be a Eurocentric community. I want to live in a place where I can build community, where around like-minded people. I never want to lose my connection with my culture. I think my culture could be way better if we had a less non-community oriented people. And I don't think that can happen in the communities right now, because there are just too many ill-willed people in our communities. I'm comfortable in safe environments, even if I'm the only one. Okay. See, now you're a little bit different, AH. Because I want communities where, to be honest, I want communities where you can bring black kids. You know, one of my goals in life is to establish organizations that's focused on descendants of slaves, children who have been abandoned and left in foster care. Take those kids out of the environment, give them everything that they need, and make sure that they are able to move forward with everything. Give them the education, give them the history, give them the love that they didn't have. Right? At this point, it's going to be females, all girls, because I think that boys are showing that it's too difficult to, to raise black males who are going to be providers and protectors. But that's really one of my goals. And I don't think at this point, we don't have the space in our communities to do that. So you really have to look at, where can you go buy some area, some land, and then populate that land with like-minded people. First of all, we need to stop birthing them to assistance in order for us to be safe. Let's talk about that. I think that's what most black women want. However, we are not on code, and I'm not risking my life. Health. I agree. Like I said before, I think that you could take, if you were to take black women 5 years, put black women in a space where all we did was built, became community minded and oriented, you could see in 5 years, you would see places that could be built up like New York or had the potential, and we would be able to do so much. But when you look at our community, the people who bring it down the most are black boys and black men, without a doubt. I've embraced things are what they are. Nerdy black girl. I this so. You do not have to risk your life or health per se. I wouldn't say that. There's definitely some risking. Definitely risk there. You do have to risk your life to a certain extent, right? Even when I'm thinking about, these children that I would potentially adopt, how many people would try to come and reclaim them? How many people would try to say, well, this community is doing so well. I was at a point in my life where I couldn't give them what they needed. But if you let me move here, I may be able to be an impact. And it's like, nah, this community doesn't need, because once you let that one in, more people come. So it's definitely a risk of your life and your safety. But to me, it has to be worth it, right? I have to be able to see a plan of action and know that this plan of action is concrete and that it's not just me that's committed to it. And I understand Black women who say, look, I'm done with this community. I wish you the best of luck, sis. But I'm going to be over here living my last days like my best days. I understand that, girl. You go do you. I wish you the best. But the reason why I want to do this is because my ancestors got me this far. And because of them, I can't leave this earth without showing my thanks to them. And that's for me. That's my mindset. I understand if other people don't. But because I share that mindset, is how do I figure out a way to extract the good from the Black community? Take those, put them in a different community, build them up, and then hold these communities in where we weren't able to save the people accountable. And that doesn't even take much out of you. Saying, hey, these people need to go to jail. Hey, these people, we need this. You basically just sharing your voice. You're basically just sometimes even going to Congress. That doesn't take much at all out of you. At all. Right? There are people who have YouTube channels who are able to accomplish that. But I really want to see the descendants, especially Black women and Black girls, live a good life. I want you to see the fruits of your ancestors' labor. And oftentimes I don't think we see that because we're so caught up in fighting other people's battle. You do not have to risk your life. Yes, I definitely want to adopt Black girls to meet nice Black women. What? A community of Black women sounds nice, but what happens when they start showing up with, yeah, see, that would be a problem. That's why I said build a community with Black women for 5 years. But the problem will always be is that Black women think that they can save Black men. I don't think that I have the power to save Black men because regardless of what's going on, we still live in a patriarchy society. And Black men have shown that if they can't be the type of man they want to be amongst white men, they will definitely be that type of man in our community. That's why we face the brunt of everything in our community. We face it from white women, Black men, and white men. And I don't think is possible. That's why I'm hesitant to adopt Black boys, because Black boys with these stories have shown me that they don't look to Black women as they get older for guidance. They look to Black males, and Black males show that they're deviants. A lot of them. She brings one, she leaves him. Strict screening process. Yeah, you could screen, but you can't get them all. And then it becomes, if you let one in, what happens when 3 show up, 4 show up, 5 show up? Remember, you're still just a woman. You can get, guns and everything, but I don't want to go through all that in my later years in life. I think that Black men and Black women collectively, we're divided. I think when we go to the Congress about certain things, it should be for Black women. When they go, it should be for Black men and Black boys. And that's the best way to go about that. We have to stop pretending that we're a community when we're just not. Black men advocate for mixed race women to be seen as Black. And they know what that does to Black women and they don't care. Therefore, we should not be going to advocate for one another. Well, my sister still dates black men. I'm dating a white man. I never cared as much she doing. She doesn't hang around me much anyways. Okay. Yeah. I think there is a way to fix the black community's trajectory without um us being caught up in danger. But it's all about it's the biggest issue is getting black women, the collective of us, all on the same page. And I don't think, I don't want to just go out here and start advocating for things. And it's like, well, who appointed you to do that? You don't speak for all black women. You don't even speak for the collective of us. And I keep trying to get a feel on my community tab, like where our mindset is when it comes to punishment and crime. And, there are some times when it's just definitely yes. Like mixed ain't black. Yes. But with the fraud question, I was taken back because I thought, well, this person did something that negatively impacted us. Don't you think he and Rachel Dolezal and other women who participate in people who participated in lying about their identity as a way to extract resources and to condemn our community, don't you think they should be held accountable? And I think as a community, we should do that. I honestly think that if I put forth that bill, I think I would get more agreement out of other communities, because other communities like the Jewish community, they held that one guy accountable. They said, you ain't even in the Jewish community. Like they're hitting that man hard. And thus far, he's been taking off all his community committees in Congress. I can't read Santos. Like they're holding him accountable. They're like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't just be out here saying that you're a part of something that you're not. What that situation showed me is that other people believe in accountability. The black community really doesn't. And we got to work on that. I would turn away black women who are bringing men and thugs. They will have to seek other resources. Right. That's why I said, we have to go about this a different way. Like even when it comes to women who have sons, it would be like one of the things that I was thinking about doing was having like a like what the Native Americans have, but maybe not it wouldn't be called a reservation, but it would just be like, hey, mother and son, your son is like 8. What we'll do here is give you the resources. You guys will always have this place where you could come live. But once your son gets a certain age, we're going to help him with getting the tools he needs. But at 18, within 6 months after turning 18, he has to move out of this city, because this is only for black women. Right. And I haven't fully thought that through, but I do believe, like with Native Americans, how they have reservations where they can go, and they have hospitals and casinos. They just have affordable housing and stuff like that. I believe that black women deserve something like that, so that we can change the direction we're going in. Just give black women the tools that they need to succeed. And then when you have a child like a son, it's going to be very important that you understand that he has to be building himself up, because he's going to be seen as needing to be a provider and protector. And at the age of 18, 6 months of him turning 18, he's no longer any boys. They're no longer allowed to be in this area, right? That's going to motivate the woman to do what she needs to do. Also, if she wants to move with him, that's what they can do. What you're basically saying, hey, we don't want people to get comfortable living off the government. We want people to build themselves up, develop the tools that you need, so that you will always be able to work and succeed in this world. Women's land, I like that. Men aren't allowed. Men would not be allowed. So let's say for an example, it was Chicago, right? It would be a black woman led community. And basically, if you was a black woman and you had a child, that was a boy. Let's say he was 8 years old. We tell you, hey, if you enroll in this program, we're gonna give you the time you need. Let's say you don't have a high school diploma, whatever, for one other reason. What we're seeing is that a lot of women who are sex trafficked, they're taken out of school. They stop before they get their high school diploma. Okay, ma'am, this is what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna hook you up. We're getting your high school diploma. We're gonna hook you up with child care. We're gonna do everything that you need to happen, that you need, so that by the time this kid turns 18, 10 years, you gonna have what you need to not only your son, not only you gonna have what you need, but your son is going to have skills needed to function in this world. That way he always gonna have a job. A plumber, they always gonna have a job. A real estate agent, they always gonna have a job. An insurance person is always gonna have a job. We gonna make sure that he has a trade. He knows a trade. That way, wherever he go, Alaska, Oklahoma, California, he gonna be able to get a job. And once that happens, and we're going to make sure we teach you about finances, we're going to make sure that you get every type of learning that you need to have, that by the time your son turns 18, if you choose to leave with your son, you can do so. But you will not leave unprepared for the world. I think that is what Black women should have had when they got off the reservation. Because when women got off the reservation, Black women, you were being targeted by white women, white men, and Black men. And what this is going to allow for you to do, catch your mind. We're going to have counselors on site, right? We're also going to have um, males who are more than likely going to come from other communities that are going to mentor the young boys to let them know, hey, this is what these are the tools for man, right? If people are faith oriented, making sure we have those type of religions where they can practice in the community, it's going to be all about getting you healed and healthy to go out and live in this world. I think that's what Black women needed. And that's something that I think that the government should have given Black women. Furthermore, I think that we should have hospitals also research facilities when it comes to Black women. Why are Black women having certain diseases that other women don't have? Is it related to the hair products? Is it related to the diet? What's going on? And I think that we could do that if we push for that. But Black women have to get into a mindset of centering themselves. Men aren't allowed. I agree. I think that if you want, you can't be a woman that needs to do what needs to be done while at the same time being in a relationship, right? And if you're so caught up in being in that relationship, then that means that you don't need to be on that property. You should just go be in that relationship with that man. But sadly, most time, Black women choose Black men over themselves and their kids. I know of a safe house that won't let boys stay there. If they're 14 years old plus, this is for safety reasons. A lot of Black boys start behaving violently before 18. Yup. Let these wealthy Black guys, rappers, and athletes pay for their training. One Black guy paid the student loans for Black guys. Yep. Wholeheartedly. Yep. And this is just a little bit of my thought process for what Black women in terms of reparations should have. Because what we know from slavery is that when Black women and Black girls got off the plantation, we went from being sex trafficked, um, raped. We went from being raped daily and molested on the plantation to then being sex trafficked by Black men, right? So how do we fix that? Right? We literally have to train Black women to learn, hey, this is when it's rape. This is when you're being groomed. This is what you shouldn't allow in your household near your daughters. And I honestly think that our community won't improve until we get a hold of our community. And this is going to mean that, white women not being involved, because we're going to have to talk about how feminism was a charade for white women trying to disempower black women while upholding racism and prejudice against us at the same time. White women did not care about us uplifting the reason why we have Planned Parenthood is because white women wanted to reduce our population because we were black, and they never want us to outnumber them. And I think the fact that so many black women still go to Planned Parenthood and a lot of us don't know the background story is actually very it shows the level of intelligence we have, and it's very is disrespectful, because once you know better, we should try to do better. If black women are not getting rid of their babies because they simply don't want to have them, then what is the underlying reasoning? A lot of black women are being assaulted and groomed before they even turn 18, right? And so if that's an issue, that means that we have to go to the root of the issue of seeing what's going on in these communities. And what we know is that black men are harassing and terrorizing black girls at a young age. That means that we now have to depend on the police system, the criminal justice system. A lot is all every time you look up, most of these issues are going to go back to the criminal justice system. You have to get these people out of your community. They're a detriment to your community. There's no way around that. If you have programs for black boys, what you've created will center them eventually. Sadly, that's what always happens to black women when we try to create something for us. We wouldn't be centering them. We would just be helping them to a certain extent. This would be a black woman centered space, right? So while they're off getting the tools that they need, we would always be centering, like having counseling sessions, going over your past, understanding your history. We would be constantly centering women, right? But we would also be helping their little children as well. You're not going to be able to improve the community without having some resources and programs for little black boys. But it is going to be important for people to know that if your child, for me, if your son is 14 years plus, that's not going to be someone I'm going to help. If when your boy is 14 years plus, I really think that you have to look into alternative arrangements. I think an 8-year-old at max is somebody you can, for the most part, you know, train and teach healthy conflict resolution skills, how to protect, how to provide. This is what you're up against as a young black boy. But at some age, most black boys stop listening to us, and I'm not willing to compromise whatever program that I would have at that time for them. And ultimately that would be left up to the mother. Now, once her child turned 18, she could come to the community still and uplift herself. It would always be open to women, but it would not always be open to open to black boys and black teenage boys, right? 14 years old, 8 years old would be the cutoff, and that would just be it. We have to learn how to say no. Absolutely. We have to learn how to say no. We have to learn how to love and build community without those people who want to bring us harm. And I think that's been the biggest hiccup, because a lot of black people do want to blame white supremacy for black males, when the reality is that black men like white supremacy. They just don't like the fact that they're excluded from it. And if you don't see that, then you got a lot of work to do. If black men are out here saying that we going to take white women, make them black, make black kids, and saying that we going to replace black women, that in itself is a form of white supremacy. Because what you're doing is no different than what Margaret Sanger of the Black community of Planned Parenthood did. Yep, they don't mind being under the white woman. Nope, the white men. They surely don't. They surely don't. I think as a community, we have to understand that there are just black men who like white supremacy. They just don't want to be the focus of it. That's it. Like Myron Gaines of Fresh and Fit, biracial, the biracial KKK member, he doesn't care about white supremacy. He just don't want to be impacted by it. He could care less about black women being impacted by it. Bigger lungs. Yep. Yep. Well, I'm gonna get off, you guys. I want to thank y'all for being here with me for 2 hours. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna continue to post stuff here. Look for my name on this channel changing, just because I am rebranding and going in a different direction. I do believe that, you know, the name no longer fits me. When it comes to this channel, I do want to continue to center black women, but I do want this space to become more of a social activist page, a social activism page, in which we focus on the black woman who is the descendant of American slaves plight, and what we could do to either fix the areas that we are predominantly in, or what we can do to create a space outside of it so that we can build a community. And obviously obviously go after, you know, the people who hurt our community. Immigration hurts our community. Sex trafficking hurts our community. Gang violence hurts our community. Misogynoir hurts our community. I do believe that at some point black women have to show that we have a backbone and we don't love black males more than we love ourselves. And in doing so, calling for jail sentences, jail time, death penalties, life sentences, that is going to be the first sign of, oh, they sick of this bullshit. They ready to do something. Like they are not their ancestors. Truth be told, Sojourner Truth, she said that if black women don't have a if we don't get our freedom along with black men and white women, it won't be any different than when we were under white man. So the ancestors who had recently gotten off the plantation, they saw what was going on, but they couldn't do very much about it. Whereas today we can do something about it. And I think it's time that we do. There are too many people who are suffering at the hands of our own community for us to continue to let things slide. I got a vent everywhere I see them going, raging about Carlee Russell, but they have all the sympathy for the criminal black man running over to North Korea. I saw that. The hypocrisy. What? Yeah, the black community is a hypocrisy. We support black male degeneracy, even the Sukihana stuff. Like that I can't believe she went to Europe and said, I want to suck and get my you know what scratched. Child, why did she do that? I would love to do a live with you one day. Oh yeah, for sure. We can do one. Just let me know when you want to do one, and then we can pick a topic and we can definitely go about having a discussion. I want to thank y'all for joining me today. My voice is about to go out. Look forward to more content and more questions. Don't forget that I'm about to change my name. And like I said before, I want to build a community with black women, understanding that I know some of us ain't gonna get along. I think we've seen enough of other communities to say, even if they don't like them, they'll come together to get what needs to be done in the community done and move on. And as long as we understand that, Like, we ain't got to be at BFF, right? We ain't got to go out to KFC after this. We just need to come to an agreement, get it over and done with. You got your space, I got my space, and that's really all it needs to be. With that said, uppity Negro, I'll look forward I would love to do a live with you. Okay, no problem. You ladies have a lovely day and a safe night. Yeah, all of y'all have a good day, a safe night. Avoid the hypocrisy if you can, and thank you for tuning in.